question list. Good morning. This is the big question here on Morning Kick Around. Big event happening this week. World Cup tickets 2026 going on sale. And it's not quite as straightforward as walking up to a desk and saying, I'll have one World Cup ticket, please, sir. And so we've brought on expert in the ways of travel football. We got Travel Football Fan. You can find him on social media as Travel Football Fan. Welcome on board, sir. How you doing?
Thank you. Good morning. And I think right off the bat with that statement that you said, how to buy tickets on Wednesday, that's actually not happening necessarily. You're just applying for the chance to buy tickets in October. So, yeah.
I mean, God, this is where we're at. I got a lot of questions about this. First of all, thank you very much for coming on the show. I like the kit. You're already getting comments in the chat on the Colombia there.
Awesome.
Shout out. So, the World Cup's coming to America, and I think we've known this for a while, and I imagine a lot of soccer fans are like, okay, I'm going, but that process, the way the FIFA handles selling tickets, the application, the lotteries, or whatever we're calling this, I think that is a little opaque for people. You've been to a World Cup. So what's the first thing people should know about this? And as you said, Wednesday's not about buying; it's about something else.
Yeah, I think the main thing to think about this process that it's not like any other event that you've been to here in the United States. It's not. It's multiple phases. Tickets are being phased out, in these specific moments. For example, for this phase one, we're going to see 1 million of the 6 million available tickets being made available to people. So first things first, folks, do not freak out if your application does not get accepted on phase one. You will have phase 2, 3, and 4, maybe more later on as we approach the 2026 World Cup.
So there's 4 phases to a purchase, or there's 4 different releases of tickets?
In effect, you could call them releases. Phase 1 is this pre-sale. They're calling it pre-sale because only those with a Visa, credit card, or debit card can access the actual sale itself. So if you have an American Express, a Discover, or MasterCard, you can't get in on phase 1.
And that's just corporate partnership nonsense from FIFA,
basically,
right? Okay.
Yes.
The other thing I want to know from that, because I saw a little bit of discussion about this. If I go out and I buy a Visa gift card for whatever, can I use that to cheat the system basically? Because I don't have a Visa credit card, but I got a Visa gift card.
It has to be a reloadable card.
Okay.
So it can't be quite a gift card. And I know that's where you start getting into this. How can I get in and everything? I actually found the shortcut, and I did highlight in one of my videos, which is you can mail a 3x5 card to FIFA's headquarters in Miami saying, I want to be part of this draw. You have to follow the exact instructions that I provided in the video, but it is in their terms and conditions. So if you really want to get in right now, you just have to mail a card to FIFA's headquarters in Miami. I live in Miami. I'm originally from Miami, but I can tell you where the office is at if you wanted to.
I mean, but that's stunning. This is like, I mean, if you're old enough, you remember like watching shows and stuff where they'd be like, we'll send you whatever if you send us a self-addressed stamped envelope.
Basically, it is almost like that. And I think they just have to offer that because of just U.S. laws and whatnot. But again, the main thing that folks need to figure out, or rather, to start thinking about is there are 4 phases. So the first one is this Visa one. The second one is for everyone else. That's also application-based. But these first 2 phases happen before the December 5th draw. So you don't know if you're following USA, Canada, Mexico, where your team is playing. So now the strategy becomes, if you just want to go see one game of Colombia, for example, you're probably better off waiting till December because you're looking to find one ticket to like the one specific game. Okay. If you're looking to follow them, you would go ahead and apply on September 10th.
Okay. Now, we've done all this. We talked about the mechanisms, and I'm actually, as we talk here, looking at a story that Henry Bushnell has just filed
Yes.
at The Athletic that talks about how FIFA has already made millions on World Cup tickets before they've even gone on sale, because this is, of course, what FIFA does. I mean, and this is the bargain we make as fans, right? It's like, I don't want to give FIFA anything. I don't want to help FIFA. F FIFA, but I want to go to the World Cup. And as you said, the tickets going on, or the process starting before the groups are actually set, is a big part of this. We have gone a couple minutes into this already, and nobody has said anything about how much these are going to cost. So what price situation?
That has been, I would say, the holy grail that both reporters and content creators, or both like myself, have been trying to pursue through every available channel possible. I've had contacts in basically every aspect of this tournament, but also trying to find it in non-traditional contacts as well. Other podcasters, other content creators, they're all trying to find out the price, and rightfully so, right? Because we assume, well, it's a World Cup, FIFA has historically, if we're going to give them one good up, is that they have kept the prices artificially low for these tournaments. But then we saw what happened in the Club World Cup last summer. Literally the money bag event of the century in some ways. The way that they were wanting to charge Real Madrid fans and some of these other club fans. And I've gotten other information which has led me to believe that these tickets will be the most expensive in its history. Right now, adjusting for the different piece of information I have, I'm saying the category 3, right? Category 3 tickets between $320 and $500. Now, mind you, FIFA said that the cheapest tickets will be $60. That might be the category 4 tickets, but there's two things that people need to keep in mind. One, there's probably going to be very few of those tickets made available in each of the stadiums, and that's probably going to be like at the far up corner, like they're really sending you to go fix the stadium floodlights. That's where you're sitting. And then 2, dynamic pricing. So FIFA allowing for both dynamic pricing and no cap on the resale of these tickets, and in effect FIFA creating a version of StubHub under FIFA's banner. I get the whole like, oh yes, it will keep fans from going to these secondary markets and potentially getting scammed. I get that part because StubHub has been, letting these posts exist for like years now about that they have World Cup tickets when they don't. But at the same time, those $60 tickets, how many people are really going to go to the World Cup for $60? They're going to probably want to resell those to make a huge amount of profit on that.
Can I also ask about, you mentioned the Club World Cup. Obviously, everybody saw that for what it was, an absolute money grab. Lots of coverage of small crowds or ticket prices and all this stuff. I mean, I think there were elements of it that worked for FIFA and elements that didn't. And ultimately, I think they probably see it as a success. But there was also, I remember at one point it was, we can't sell these Club World Cup tickets. So if you buy Club World Cup tickets, you get first crack at World Cup tickets in 2026. Do you have any insight on that, or whether anybody has actually put down the money necessary to do that, and how that might work?
Yeah, so part of that Henry Bushnell article that came out this morning was talking about those right to buys, the RTBs on the FIFA Collect website. Some people have told me they did do that, which is crazy to me because when those came out last year, I was telling folks, please do not buy this. This is thousands of dollars you're committing to go watch the Club World Cup, which again, in my context of finance and planning, logistics out for an event like this, I saw the Club World Cup as a money trap event. It would not have benefited you if the plan was to go to the World Cup. I would have rather saved all that money, but some people did it. And right now, as it stands, they have a separate process that has not been announced when they're going to be able to get or convert those RTBs into the tickets. Which tickets would they be able to convert them to? There has been, unfortunately, a lot of bit of silence from the FIFA Collect Discord server, which I keep sending people to. So in that way, they get more pressure to release the information that they might or might not have. So yeah, it's one of those things where like you basically paid someone to get in front of the line, and yet now you're seeing, wait, there's another line forming. Where is the line I got to go to? That's how you should visualize these RTBs, and that's where we're at right now with those folks with the RTBs. They don't know what line to make, but they've been promised that they will be in a front of a line, but it's not that line starting September 10th.
So yeah, not exactly just walking up to a ticket booth and asking for a pair
No.
of tickets this time around. So I guess push back here if it's not even clear enough for you to do this, but so I'm in the Metro Detroit area. I'm thinking that I'll probably go to games in Toronto. So what advice would you give to someone who's like, this is my nearest venue, how should I get tickets?
Yeah, when you're applying on September 10th, if you do not care who's playing in those games, definitely participate in this application first phase September 10th to the 19th. I think that's another quick distinction I want to make. You have 9 days, so please, everyone's more than likely going to bust the servers at FIFA at 11 a.m. September 10th. So if you don't get in, do not panic. Maybe give it a day or two, and then you'll be able to go back in. But I would say, Robert, in your case, if you just want to go to Toronto for any game, then apply for any of the games happening in Toronto. Now, I wouldn't apply for the venue series because then that commits you to go to all of the games in Toronto. So don't pick venue series, pick like the individual games, right? Which means you need to look at the calendar and you need to, go ahead and click M5, M20, whatever those matches are, right? I would do that. So that's really the 2 ways that your strategy would go. And I know a lot of folks keep asking me, oh, how should I do this or everything? That's based on you. At the end of the day, everyone has a different World Cup travel plan. So make sure that you're fitting the strategy to what you want to do.
Another question here. I mean, for people who maybe just aren't familiar with this at all, or people who kind of have engaged with, say, the U.S. men's national team or Mexico when they come to the United States, things like that. Typically, there are other ways to get access to tickets rather than just going through the standard process. If you're a member of a supporter group that's officially recognized or has some relationship with the federation, you can get tickets a different way. They'll sell tickets as brokers, and obviously the American Outlaws and things have done travel packages to past World Cups and gotten tickets somehow their way. Do you have any sense of how any of that's going to work, if that's changed at all from World Cups past?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything of that change. If you're part of one of those supporters groups, go and contact, the leadership of your supporters groups or join their supporters groups. I know that, for example, for Canada, they had the Canada Red program that it kind of sounded like a pay to play, where like the more you pay into that membership, the more chances you get at tickets. Again, I don't know if I would have set it up that way. Let's just put it that way. I think the U.S. soccer insiders are kind of acting a similar way like that. So I would just kind of go through your leadership and figure out, which again, if we're to expand this image of the lines, that's yet another line that you can get yourself into. But again, how and what prices and everything, they haven't released that information. One key thing about Mexico, since now we're mentioning Mexico, they will have their own platform. And I think that's very big for Mexican nationals in Mexico. Given Mexico's anti-dynamic price laws, anti-resale laws, they are setting themselves up a separate platform from the one that us in the U.S. and Canada will see. So then that way their citizens can access tickets at non-dynamic prices. And when they're doing the quote-unquote resale, it becomes a trading block as opposed to a resale block. So for many Mexican Americans that do follow me on my socials, I understand their disappointment that they will not be able to access that platform because that is only for Mexican nationals, and they're going to have different ways to figure out that they are a Mexican national living in Mexico as opposed to like a Mexican American abroad. But I do see the benefit of their government wanting to look out for their fans and saying, you know what, we are going to create this own separate platform. You will have access to these tickets, non-dynamic price, potentially cheaper. I don't know, but at least it will be protected from that dynamic price, and they can go ahead and purchase those tickets. Mexican Americans and other fans wanting to go to Mexico games will have to buy the tickets at the U.S. dynamic pricing.
U.S. dynamic pricing for games in Mexico.
Yeah.
While Mexican nationals in Mexico, residents of Mexico, will have access to those games at different prices without the dynamic element.
Potentially at different prices, but definitely without the dynamic pricing, which of course would in effect keep it cheaper than what everyone else is paying, which again, great for them, right? Great for their government that they really pushed FIFA on that. And I was actually kind of surprised they were able to get that win for their fans. But for the rest of us that want to go to Mexico, man, we're going to have to deal with the dynamic pricing. And that those are the most in-demand games, I would say.
I got friends living in Mexico. I mean, you know, That's the kind of stuff that people are going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I know. Thank you so much for your time. You're
No,
incredible
of course.
font of information. This is great. You talked about the draw, and obviously, again, for some people, it's I just want to go to the World Cup. Maybe I want to go to Toronto like Rub. Some people, it's I want to follow my team, or I want to go to one game for my national team. There's only 3 group stage games. You're not guaranteed anything else after that. How do you think there's a significant disadvantage to waiting till the draw to try to figure out if you can go to a game for your national team? Or again, I think some of these are like I know Mexico's already set a little bit, right? Canada's got 2 games in Canada. So how does that, I guess if the US is booked for games already at certain venues, you can eye those venues regardless of what the draw looks like.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, right. So for those 3 teams, right? Canada 2, Vancouver 1 in Toronto, USA 2 in LA, 1 in Seattle, Mexico 2 in Azteca, 1 in Guadalajara. Yeah, you could go ahead and aim for those tickets when you're applying on Wednesday.
But if you're a fan of a different team and you want to follow a different team, you have to wait for the draw to know where they're going to play.
If you're looking to just go to one of their games, correct. Because if you apply on September 10, then the only option for you is to follow your team, and you would have to buy the package. Because you can't then just split it.
And you wouldn't know where you're traveling yet until the draw in December, which means that's when you're buying your plane tickets and your hotels.
So if you don't have a budget that will incorporate all this additional travel for your team, because like Colombia, for example, my dream scenario is that they fall, I think it's Group I, which is basically the Northeast. And then I can just go up and down the Amtrak from DC, where I'm at, and then just follow Colombia that way. That would be my dream scenario travel.
Shout out DC.
Yeah, thank you. But then, of course, my nightmare scenario would be West Coast, even though my West was Seattle. But again, in terms of the logistics and the travel, then that makes it very hard for me to follow Colombia, because then I'm basically on the road for what, a week? So you would have to, in effect, wait till December 5th, till after the draw of December 5th and phase 3, when then now you know where your team is. Now, that does increase the level of competition, aka dynamic pricing will probably affect those prices as well. So that's the drawback. You want to go to one game? Cool. You'll have to wait. At least you'll know where your team is playing, but you're probably paying a higher price.
Right. And shout out to our man, Mike. He's a Philly guy. Mike's a Philly guy. Big USA fan. USA playing only in Seattle and LA is a problem for somebody like Mike. I'm in DC or out just outside of DC myself. Awesome. I don't know what my work schedule is going to be. Perhaps I'm going to games anyway, but if I wanted to be a fan and go, that is a trek. And it's like, do I take the family and quadruple my spend, or do I try that? Yes. Okay.
And if I may, about the travel part as well, I'm already seeing in Seattle the hotel rates are already at $1,000 a night. Wow. Like, folks, like this is why I was doing all this content since Qatar, because my whole story is basically for the TLDR. I was able to go to the Qatar World Cup and enjoy the fan festivals in the United Arab Emirates. On a $20,000 value trip that we had, we only spent $5,000 out of pocket. The rest of it was covered with points and miles. We were able to fly business class on Emirates, basically on pennies of the dollar. Of the 16 hotel nights, 12 of them were free, again, because of hotel points. So seeing the value of the trip that we had, I recognized that this World Cup was going to have similar effects here in the States. And so, we've exclusively been talking about almost 20 minutes just on tickets. And it's like, wait a minute, but what about your hotel? Where are you staying at? Yeah. And these hotels are already blacking out, especially on the dates of the USA matches. They're already blacking them out. For LA, for example, I believe I saw one of the airport hotels charging you $800 a night. Like, I knew this was going to happen. I think a lot of fans are going to, like, after they get rid of after they go through the fog of war of the tickets, they're going to be like, oh my God, now the hotels are expensive. Now the flights are expensive. How do I even get around? Because this issue of public transportation is also going to be a very big deal for many of the American host cities, because they're not offering free public transportation to the fans. So I hope everyone has their budget set, because I've been saying this will be the most expensive World Cup, and it's not even just because of the tickets.
Yeah, the most expensive World Cup. Wow.
Yeah.
That's something. And I guess thank you for sharing and you having the foresight to know that this is where we were going to be at. You've been a wealth of information for us. Can you share with our listeners where they can connect with you and get this incredibly complicated and detailed information?
Absolutely. You can follow me on my socials at TravelFutbolFan on Instagram and TikTok, on YouTube as well, where I publish more long-form videos there. You can also visit my website, TravelFutbolFan.com, if you wish to have a travel consultation with me. We'll help set you up with a personalized travel plan that works for you, because everyone has a different plan. And so that means that whatever works for me is not going to work for you. And so we'll work together to build yourself a travel plan that, again, that works for you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Morning Kick Around. Check his stuff out, Travel Football Fan. I think I'm going to be trying to dig very deep in my book of acquaintances and see if there's a basement or a couch or someone's garage to stay in Toronto in a year of time.
Yeah, Vancouver right now looking to be the most expensive city, by the way. So I hope your team kind of doesn't land there, because there's barely any hotel rooms there from the information that's being provided. So yeah, I would say if there's a city that I don't want to be in terms of, again, not saying anything bad about Vancouver, but in terms of the money, Vancouver and Miami, unfortunately, can they get some buses there, please? Because in and out of Hard Rock Stadium, again, as a local, is a pain to do so.
We heard all those stories from Qatar of folks in Argentina like selling their houses so they could go all the way out there. We might have Americans go sell their houses just to go to a domestic World Cup here.
Please don't do that.
I mean, if you really, really, really want to go to see your team in the World Cup, I mean, you know, I don't know. Who am I to judge?
I don't see this to be a channel for financial advice, neither mine or anyone else's.
That's the disclaimer. Yeah, but if you see any of those content creators doing the financial stuff, they're always like, "This is not financial advice. I'm just giving you what I know." That's what we're doing here. Shout out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and see you next time. We'll have to check in on phase 19 of the World Cup ticket sales when that comes up. So thank you so much for that. If you've enjoyed this content and you enjoy the channel, subscribe, step it up a notch, become an MK Ultra, become a member of the channel, or share a super thanks. There's a thanks button just underneath the video window here, or just tell your friend. Morning Kick Around is a great show and covering the American soccer perspective, becoming one of the town squares of the American soccer conversation.